Hello and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. And in this video, we are gonna make a math command. And the reason why we're doing math command is because with the math command we can superly easy work with creating methods and functions. So methods and functions are oftenly used in object-oriented programming. To make work easier, so you have a pre-produced piece of code which you've written a time earlier, and then you can use this code or the code that's being written in that function. You can execute this every time and everywhere in the code where you want. So to show you an example, I'd say let's get right into it. So I've set it up in ucog math.py. Really important, don't forget to register this already in the init.py file, and set up the basic thing with importing Discord and commands, making the class and the init function and the setup. And once you've done this, we're going to leave the math class alone for itself for a bit. And what we're going to do first is we're going to make our functions. And to show you an example how that works, I'd say let's get right into it. So first we write def to that's the keyword to make a new function. I can research why exactly it's def. I gotta blend it in somewhere. But important is write def, and after that you're writing a name. So it can be just some salad of words, or it can be something useful. For example, add. So in the math command, this will be plus. So we're adding something together. So for example, 2 plus 2 is 4. And that's why we're calling this. And that's why we are calling this add. And once you've put it, your word, what you're going to name your function or method, you're putting two parentheses right after it, and in here we're going to pass in our values. Our values are basically something. If we take, for example, our manage command, so async def, don't worry about the async, that just means it's running asynchron, but as you can see, it's also a function. And in here we're having self and ctx. Self is in here because we're making it in a class, and ctx is a parameter which stands just for context. And in here, what we're going to do, we're just going to write a, make a comma, and b. So a and b are going to be our first number, and b is going to be our second number. After you put these in, you're just doing a colon, and down here, after that, we'll type in return, and then we type a plus b. And return basically means every time this thing is called somewhere in the code. So for example, when we're writing our command and it should look for add, then it does this. So for example, the user wrote 2 and 3, and then it's written the add function, and then the program is looking, okay, this function is called add. There are two parameters in there. We're having them for a is 4 and b is 3. And what shall I return? Return is that it just gives back a certain value, and this value it gives back is a plus b. So it just adds them together, and then we're going with 7 basically, and then it's just going to give us back 7. Anyway, that might a bit confusing, but you're going to see what that means later on. After this, we're writing a few other functions, for example, sub for subtracting something. Also in here, a and b, and then we're just going to say return a minus b. The next one is going to be MUL, central multiplication, and in here just the same as we go. We can actually copy this right on, so we'll just type in return a asterisk and b, and we can now copy this, paste it down here, and just rename MUL to just diff, which stands for divide. And in here we're going to do a slash, because slash is the mathematical operator in Python for to divide something. Wasn't my intention. Just remove this, thanks. So in here we're then, for example, just type POV, which stands for power, and which just takes something to the power of something, and that's just a double asterisk. And once we've done this, we're good to go. So Now comes a bit more complicated part, where I think it's going to be important to have at least some basic knowledge of Python. So what we are going to do is we're going to write an variable, which is dictionary. What the dictionary is a certain data type in Python. Like I said, you should have some basic knowledge of Python. So operators, or not operators, we call operations, and this is a dictionary basically, and the dictionary is marked with these curly brackets, and in here what we're gonna do is we're gonna write some stuff in. So add is our add function, plus also, so we're gonna write a few synonyms or aliases for our functions. Also going to be add, and I'm gonna make a cut right here, and I'm going to add all words in for every function that I know right now, and I'm gonna make a cut. So I've added in all the different operations, and what we're going to do now is, as we've set it all this up, so this all might be a bit confusing to you now, but you'll see where we get there in a second. But what we will do now is we're going to make our command. So first in we type say commands.command, and in here we're going to say name is just basically math, and our aliases. Alias, well, it's this, right? It's just going to be M or MT, and that's going to be fine. And in here, we're just going to make our function, which is async def math command, like that. And in here, we're going to say self ctx, and yeah, that's it basically. What we will also need before we're going to continue on here is we're going to make it a bit more easier for a normal user to handle. So we're going to make another function up here before we continue down there. Because what we want is, let me do this right here with some commands. So right this, what we want to do is that command looks the following. So user writes following out, please add 4 and 4. And it's gonna write this, so like a command, exclamation mark math, please add 4 and 4, and the bot should respond with then basically just it's gonna be 8. And this is what we're going to do, and unless we're going to do that, we need to filter out the multiplication, so the operation, so in this case it's add, and the two numbers in the exact order they were put in. And we're going to do this with also a special function. This function is going to be named extract. Oh, I can't type properly. Extract underscore from underscore text, and in here we're going to use our what's it called? Our parameter. It's just called text. And in here, at first, we're going to make a list that's just stands L, and then we're going to make a for loop. So we'll say for t in text.split, and in here we're going to just make an space. So what is this going to do is it's going to be for t is basically our object we're having in text, which is not known yet, and text is basically going to be splitted. So everything which is in the text, so every single word is going to be splitted, and it's going to be separated. And in here we're then going to say try l.append, and then we will say float. So float. So it's a data type, and this is then just t. So we're going to append the float, so the decimal number. We're going to the non-rational number. We're going to append this in the t list. So it's just putting it in there, and except, and after this for error handling, except value error. And then it's just going to say pass, so it's just going to do nothing. And once that's done, we're going to say return L. So we're returning the list. And this will help us to work with the string later on. So in here, we're going to continue. with text equals str ctx dot message dot content. So we're taking the content from the message, and then we're making a loop again. So we say for word in text dot split, and we're going to split the text by every single word that's in there with the space. And we say if word dot upper, which is an function actually by Python, which puts every word in uppercase in operator in operations dot keys. What keys are? This is an part of dictionary. So, like I said, basically Python knowledge necessary. We're gonna say try L equals extract extract from text text. So we're gonna extract the text we have up here. And R is going to be operations, and on that brackets we're saying word dot upper is basically the relation to L is a list which says 0, and L, which is also a list, and we're putting this to 1. So, and then we say await ctx.send R. So, to make it short, what happened here is L is the extracted. So what we're doing is we're extracting the text the user sends, so which is and the text is the message content, and we're extracting that and giving us the list back, which is L. And what we are doing then here in our operations is we're using every word in here which is in uppercase. That's why we wrote them all in capitalized. And then we're going to use the first and the second arguments. And these are the numbers. It's a bit complicated to understand, but you'll see what I mean by that in a second. And now we're doing some error handling, and what this is do is to say accept await ctx send. What we're going to do in here, I say I'm sorry, but I can't do that. So yeah, that should be fine. And then finally, yeah, that's the word in Python. Finally, we're just breaking the function. So if it's done, and what we're going to do now is, if this fails, we're going to make yeah, let's say something sorry. And for this, we're going up here in our program, and we are saying response equals to a list, and this list is, we're just having one object in here basically that's sorry, but I can't do that, or yeah, something like that. And down here we're going to make another function, and this function is called sorry, and it takes no parameters. And what we're going to do in here is we're going to say return response, and then the 0th object. So the first object in programming lists, so they start counting at 0. So 0 is equal to 1. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 2. 1 is the second object, and 3 is the third. 3 is the fourth, and so on. And we're returning here the first object in the list, which is just that sentence. And then here we're gonna say just else await ctx.send sorry, and we're having no parameters in here. So that's our math command basically, and let's see how it works. So we're going up one version in here as oh no, actually we're going up version in here as we added a new cog, and we're going to run that baby. You see, I've already had a bit of testing in here, but yeah, the bot is running, and let's try this out. Math, please add 4 and 5, and that's going to add 9. It's putting that 0.1 in it because the extract function is a float, and a float is a decimal number, and a plain float just appends an zero, just a .0 on the end. So that works, and we're gonna say math, for example, multiply 5 and 4 and 5, multiply, so write that, and that's gonna say 20, which is correct mathematically for everyone who passed first class. And now we're gonna say just something nonsense behind that, and then the bot is automatically going to say, sorry, but I can't do that. So it's having an error, and it's handling that error in the chat. So try to understand that code which we wrote here, try to experiment around with it, and I'd say we see us in the next video.